Hi students, today's flip is on the differences between ser and estar. So remember we've learned both of these verbs and they mean the same thing, but they're used a little bit differently. So they both mean to be, but again we use them at different times. So the conjugation charts below, you should remember, they should be familiar to you. We have estar, which is estoy, estás, está, estamos, estáis, and están. And then we have the verb ser, which the conjugations are soy, eres, es, somos, sois, and son. And this verb should bring back some good memories for you. This was the first verb that you learned how to conjugate. So, like I said, we use ser and estar at different times, even though they mean the same thing. So, we use ser to do a few different things. And you can remember this acronym, TOCO, to help you remember. So, the T stands for time. We're going to use ser to tell time. For example, son las 6. And you might remember that from the unit when we learned how to tell time. You know that you always use ser. We use it to tell the origin of something. So again, you've learned this. In the question, ¿de dónde eres?, we have eres, that's a form of ser. We might say something like, soy de McHenry. The C stands for characteristics. So again, we've learned these when we learned our adjectives. Soy alta. That's a characteristic of my physical description. And then finally, the second O stands for occupation. So when I tell you that I am a teacher, soy maestra. Okay? So those are all of our uses of ser. I want you to take a look at the right at the question, ¿cómo eres?, or ¿cómo es?, or ¿cómo son?, and I want you to think about it and write down, what does this question mean? And then, how would you respond to this question? Now we have the verb estar. Okay, the verb estar, we also have an acronym. This acronym is place, and this is easy to remember because with estar, we're generally talking about a place or an emotion. And I'll tell you a little rhyme a little bit later to help you remember. So our P is going to stand for position. So this is something like the book is on top of the desk. El libro está encima del escritorio. The L is location. So we might say, I am in Spanish class. Estoy en la clase de español. A stands for action. And now this is something we'll learn a little bit later. An example would be something like estoy escribiendo. And the I-E-N-D-O translates in English to an I-N-G word. This is something you're not going to learn until Spanish 2, so don't worry about the A for action. But it will help you to remember this for next year. C stands for condition, and a condition is something like maybe sick or tired. So you might say, tú eres cansado. And then finally, the E stands for emotion. Estoy triste. And if you take a look up at the last one, I actually made a mistake. This eres here should actually be estás. Not sure why I wrote that incorrectly. You should not use ser with a condition. You should use estar. Tú estás cansado. Sorry about that mistake. So again, I want you to take a look at the right. We have a question, ¿cómo estás? We have ¿cómo está?, ¿cómo están? What do those questions mean? And then how would you respond to that question? So what I want you to do to practice is do the 5 questions below. Decide whether you would use ser, estar in each of the following cases, and then write it in its correct form. Now here's something that helped me remember ser and estar. How you feel and where you are, always use the verb estar. Okay, so if it's not a feeling or an emotion or a location, then it's generally going to be the verb ser. So maybe this will help you a little bit.